we need to talk more in depth about Fantastic Four #1, ladies and gentlemen. That is right. This is the spoiler-filled review of Fantastic Four numero uno. For those of you who have not read this book or are about to buy it, I will give you 5 seconds to click off of this video, go click the link in this description to watch the spoiler-free review. And yeah, I'll just wait.
It's been 5 seconds!
On that note, now if you watched my spoiler-free review of this book, refer to it when you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't already, be sure to ring that little bell icon to be a part of the Aw Yeah notification squad. Be awesome. Now, Fantastic Four #1. As I said, this is mainly set up, and before we get to the setup, we actually have something that I think is very cool and very a bit touching, actually. You know, it is a tribute to the late great Steve Ditko. As you can see right here, it gives a little description about the work he's done and even a bit of the artwork that he's done. This one being Amazing Spider-Man, and of course the original Amazing Spider-Man. Now, since this isn't the main focus of course, Fantastic Four, it also serves as a bit of a prelude, funny enough, as Dan Slott worked on Amazing Spider-Man for an astonishing 10 years previous to signing on to Fantastic Four and writing this. And of course, speaking of him, his writing really shows. It is well written. They of course get all the characters right. That's, you know, one of the main reasons why I like this book. You know, you have Johnny Storm, of course, being the Mets fan that he is. The Thing being portrayed as a gentle giant. This is Sari Pacelli right here. I like this scene that she drew. I don't know. I just like it. It's just, you know, giant, like, monster-like thing, Ben Grimm, just being surrounded by kittens. Where else are you gonna see that, you know? I don't know. I just like that, personally. But alas, not everything is sunshine and rainbows for our main heroes here, as somebody launches up the Fantastic Four symbol into the sky. Now, this would be the point when everyone is like, oh wow, Reed Richards and Susan Storm are back. The kids are back. Everyone is back. Happy times. You'd be wrong. As you can clearly see here, after somewhat of a heart-to-heart conversation between Ben and Alicia, the Thing's girlfriend, you see that is revealed to be some kids pulling a prank. This opens up some mental wounds for Johnny and Ben. And of course, we get a bit of an interview segment with some replacement members of the Fantastic Four, including Lady Medusa, Crystal, and Luke Cage. Of course, we then get to see how Johnny and Grimm take this, as Johnny, fitting with his powers, is very hot-tempered about this, arguing with Jennifer Walters in the jail cell with the kids present. And while we have Ben Grimm recounting a mission with the remaining four. Of course, we're reminded of the chemistry that not only do the members of the Fantastic Four have, but along with their children, when Ben Grimm recounts a mission that the quartet took with a new friend of theirs, Astronomica. And as Astronomica needs them to sing in order to open up a gateway of sorts. And we have a bit of a banter between them as they try and pick the best singer. Susan, of course, thinking that she's the best one, when really it's her brother Johnny that does. Of course, that leads us to the closing moments of this main plot that we have, as Astronomica gives the Thing some sort of glowing object, but then it is revealed to be a stone that I'm assuming Ben Grimm turns into a ring at some point, as of course we get this big moment. They are engaged. Ben Grimm and Alicia are engaged, and it is, again, a happy moment, presumably. And of course, Ben Grimm, being the friend to Johnny that he is, invites him over to tell him the big news. And of course, while still being friends, Ben Grimm asks Johnny to be his best man, but alas, something shocking happens. Johnny just says no, very loudly, as he states that Reed should be the one to be the best man. But of course, that cannot happen as Ben Grimm presumes that they are dead while Johnny still holds out hope. Of course, it is proven right here in the last pages, as Johnny Storm says that he is done, flames on, goes up to the sky, and yells at Reed all throughout, but to no avail. Or so we think. It then cuts out to space on some planet where we see Reed and Susan fixing up a ship of sorts. And of course, as you can see, Ben, Johnny, and Alicia get bathed in this light, as the rest of New York is too. As you can see, Lady Medusa, Luke Cage, and everyone else seeing it. What are they seeing exactly? Proof that Reed and Susan are still alive. We get to end this main story on a high note, and it leaves it open on what will happen next. What will happen between Johnny and Ben? Will they be able to find them? Well, of course they will. It's going to keep going. And of course, what have Reed and Susan been up to up in space besides trying to send a signal all the way home? You know, I like the main story as, again, setup. But onto the next plot, and that being of Doctor Doom, interestingly enough. Now, this is something that I didn't expect when I first read it, as I thought that Doctor Doom would be saved for later. But we are getting set up for him as well. Again, as I mentioned in the spoiler-free review and many times before in this review too, this is just setup, setting the field for what will be happening for quite a while, I assume. As, you know, we get a glimpse into Doom's life, of course, at the moment. And they do something interesting here that I really liked about this. They did something that Steven Spielberg seems to do, especially with Jaws, and how you knew that it was a shark. You knew what the villain was, but you didn't see his face. That's what it is right here. You can see a little bit of it here and there, but you don't see the whole thing. And I like that. I have always liked that strategy, as it builds this person up as somebody mysterious, even though we already know who Doctor Doom is, or most people would. Now, as it impacts the main story, I don't see how it does in a significant sense, as it just ends on him fighting tyranny in his home country, which I suppose will be set up. Again, who knows where this Doctor Doom story will go. It could go anywhere, of course, but if there's one thing that I have in mind for certain, and if I were to predict this, and if I were a betting man, I would say that this would lead up to how Doom interfaces with our four heroes right here. And of course, on to the final part of this story. We have one by Skottie Young. And it might reflect what some people may think after reading this, when they expected the whole gang to be back together. And of course, it goes into detail on how they're not, and how there's frustration here. Again, it's just funny, you know. It's a bit of satire, poking fun at themselves, and to me, that's what you need to do. To me, the best comedy comes from people that know how to make fun of themselves. That's, if you can't make fun of themselves, and how are you gonna make fun of others? That's just me. But on that note, that is the end. But of course, that ends my spoiler-filled review of Fantastic Four #1. Of course, my final verdict on it, I like this book. As set up, it does its job well, but it does not have that much action, which may leave some people disappointed. But to me, not everything needs to have action, especially if it's going to set up the events to come. It is a bit of the ordinary world and the hero's journey, in a sense. and especially with Doctor Doom in the B-plot as well. Now, of course, if you guys like this, be sure to like and comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe, be a part of the Aw Yeah notification squad by ringing that bell icon, and of course, I am Nick from Aw Yeah Comics in beautiful Harrison, New York, and I hope you guys enjoyed.